Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are doing well. Today is 9/11. So I figured we'd do a little moment of silence to remember all of those who lost their lives on 9/11, whether they were a first responder or a part of law enforcement or, just a regular person. So there we go. Okay. It's unfortunate. I have a lot of respect, especially for all the firefighters who worked, to save um, all those people throughout, the Twin Towers and throughout the surrounding areas of the city. And of course, also I have a lot of respect for all the people who boated all of those people out of Long Island, I believe, to get them to safety. There's a lot of great things that came out of that, even though it's such a terrible thing. And I have a lot of respect for everyone who worked to help all of those people. With that being said, though, hopefully all you guys are doing wonderful. This is your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across. I think I already said that, but um, you know, if I didn't, hey, if you're new here, please subscribe. We're on our way to 500 subscribers, and I would really appreciate all the support. I know I'm kind of stalling, but I'm here. I swear. With that being said, let's get into the news from today. Anyways, moving into the Trump administration segment, as we do, we have one topic here today as jobless claims have hit their highest in 4 years. Jobless claim applications in the U.S. have hit their highest in 4 years. The number of Americans filing for unemployment rose by 27,000 to 263,000, according to the Labor Department, which is the most since October of 23rd of 2021, and also above that, as then it was 231,000. Sorry. This comes as many Americans are experiencing financial hardship due to the tariff price increases throughout really everything, and so many other things going on. This is not shocking, as we know this administration is also failing to create jobs essentially at all. We as a country are struggling a lot right now, with the tariffs, with inner politics, with the big beautiful bill. So many things like that are contributing to an overall struggle within the United States right now. And you can very well say that all of them, or if not all, a majority of them are Donald Trump's fault, and or at least Donald Trump is a huge part of it. He is the problem. Genuinely, he is causing so much suffering within the United States, whether that be economically, whether that be physically, whether that be mentally. So much hardship is being caused just because of that man sitting in the Oval Office, and I cannot wait until he's gone. Anyways, moving on into a segment about Charlie Kirk, because I have to talk about it. I can't get out of it. Trump has given Charlie Kirk a Medal of Freedom, or Trump plans to give Charlie Kirk a Medal of Freedom announced at a 9/11 memorial. Trump has announced that he will award Charlie Kirk a Presidential Medal of Freedom. Speaking at the 24th anniversary of 9/11 at a memorial, Trump said the date is soon to be announced. He called Kirk a giant of his generation and a champion of liberty. Rather than recognizing and talking about an actual national tragedy, this administration is talking about Charlie Kirk. I'm sure Trump did say some parts about 9/11. I didn't watch the full speech, but why are we focused on Charlie Kirk when there was an actual national tragedy that took place on this day? Like, a podcaster is not a national tragedy. He's not. Like, let's be real there. A podcaster is not a national tragedy in any way or form. Where was this when Minnesota lawmakers died, or when thousands of children die in our schools? Like, it's nowhere to be seen. Nowhere at all. Like, this support is nowhere at all to be seen when school shootings happen, or when lawmakers were killed, or when people stalk people. Like, nothing's there. It's all because of one figurehead that they feel like they have this parasocial connection to, that all of a sudden this matters. They don't actually care. MAGA only cares about people that they are told to care about, like Charlie Kirk here. They are following the herd like sheep. I mean, they really are. And I know I'm going to see hate comments about this, and it's the truth. You should do some self-reflection here. Like, you don't care about children dying in schools. You don't care when lawmakers are killed. Like, I remember people on MAGA's side making jokes about the senator and her husband. Actually, I think it was a representative and her husband who was killed, and then the other senator who was shot at and his wife was shot at. Like, people were making jokes about that on MAGA. But all of a sudden, because I say that I don't give my empathy to Charlie Kirk because he believed that empathy isn't real, like, then I'm a monster. Your hypocrisy is insane, for one. Your hypocrisy is genuinely insane with that. But also, like, where is your mindset there? You are being told to do, and you are following orders like sheep. Like, gain some critical thinking skills, please. I don't want to hate on MAGA. Like, I feel bad that so many of these people struggle and aren't able to process like this issue. I really do feel bad, but then you become like a terrible person, or then you say some bullshit, and then it's hard not to hate on you, or like then you say something racist, and then it's hard not to hate on you. Like, you guys make it so hard to genuinely have empathy for you guys. You really do. Anyways, in other news, the State Department will examine visas of foreigners for making fun of Charlie Kirk's death. Not surprising at all. A top State Department official has announced action will be taken against foreigners for making fun of Charlie Kirk's death. In a post on Twitter, the Deputy Secretary of State, Christopher Landau, wrote, "Foreigners who glorify violence and hatred are not welcome visitors to our country." He directed officials to take appropriate action against those who are deemed to be praising, rationalizing, or making light of Kirk's death on social media. Holy dictatorship. I mean, like, what happened to freedom of speech, for one? Like, that is insane. He is a podcaster, bro. He's not a politician. He's not some significant dude in American history. He is a podcaster, and they care so much about that. They don't care about children. They care this much about a podcaster, though, because we're gonna have a bunch of threats to talk about later today, and that should be more of an issue. We should be talking about the school shootings that have happened today. Yet I am sitting here talking about Charlie Kirk, a podcaster. Just think about that a little bit. We'll talk about that soon, but Charlie Kirk died from gun violence, something he supported. And it's ironic, and it is a deserving death. That's how I'm ending that statement. That's all I got to say. Fuck anyone who wants to hate on me for it. He is a terrible person, and he believed that gun violence is more important than children's lives. And if you believe that, you are a terrible person as well. Cool. Anyways, moving on. We have a lot of school threats and shooting threats in general today. The first one being 3 HBCUS schools went on lockdown today. 3 historically black colleges and universities have gone into lockdown after terrorist threats directed at their campuses. Alabama State University, Hampton University, and Virginia State University were all put on lockdown this morning. Alabama State said in a statement that it received terrorist threats, continuing to say, "We are working in close coordination with the appropriate law enforcement agencies to assess the situation and ensure the safety and security of our students, faculty, staff, and the broader ASU community." There is no media attention on this at all when I went to report on it. I don't know if there is now. I didn't check, but when I checked, nothing at all. It happened. It happened around noon, I believe. So around 6 hours ago now. It might have been a little earlier but I believe it was around noon my time. Maybe a little earlier. Relatively. None of the big sources covered it around that time. I looked it up after an hour after it had happened, and there was no CBS, no nothing. What they were covering, though? Charlie Kirk. We really should be talking about the Epstein files. Unfortunately, we are focusing on Charlie Kirk. Granted, we are talking about these school shootings. This was written a little bit more before all of the other ones happened today. But, as a whole, we should be talking about the Epstein files, not Charlie Kirk. And we should be talking about the shootings on these campuses, not Charlie Kirk. Yep, we're talking about Charlie Kirk. Once again, that proves that school shootings don't matter, only the death of figureheads. Once again, proving my point. In other news, UMass Boston has reported shots fired on campus. A scene with shots fired was reported at UMass Boston Thursday afternoon. The threat has now ended, according to the school. Shots were fired at 3:45 p.m. Students called this ridiculous after having to go into lockdown, and they said that nobody should have to go to school in fear of getting shot. I'm going to take a sip of my drink real quick. Okay. These students are absolutely right. Genuinely, this is getting ridiculous. This is the technically two school issues today. The next one is about the Naval Academy, which really isn't about a school. Issues today, not to mention the two other school related issues yesterday. I mean, nobody should have to go to school, to worry about dying. Like, that's not why you're going to school. You're going to school to get an education. You shouldn't have to worry about dying on that school. We need better gun laws in this country to protect the children. We really do. Way too many children die in schools. It is safer to walk on a street than it is to sit in a classroom in this country. That's a problem, and that needs to change. It genuinely does. We need to protect children, and if MAGA truly cared about protecting children and protecting people from dying to guns, they would see that and say, hey, maybe we do need gun laws in this country. Hey, maybe we do need to make it harder to buy a weapon because way too many people are easily able to access it. Like, there are so many ways to do that. There are so many ways. Just background checks, overall tests, overall registration. Like, there are so many ways to go about that. Yet people can just go into a Walmart and buy a gun. That's insane. Anyways, moving into the next one, there was a shooting at the Naval Academy today as well. The U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis is under lockdown. The academy said in a statement the base is on lockdown out of an abundance of caution. This is a developing situation, and we will provide updates as soon as they become available. There has been confirmed multiple victims. So far, at least one person has been medevaced to a hospital. It's unclear the status of the attacker, but it is believed that he went door to door shooting people and leaving multiple victims. This is insane. It is absolutely insane. All of the attacks that have happened today and yesterday. It is standing proof that gun violence is a problem in the United States. Like, this is the fifth incident in less than 48 hours. Like, come on. Like, fifth in less than 48 hours. That should be insanely worrying to so many people. Genuinely, it should be so worrying to the majority of the Americans in this country. Yet it's not. What the actual fuck is happening? Genuinely, it is insane that we have had to deal with 5 of these incidents. My condolences to the families of the victims in all of these scenarios, and I wish everyone who is still alive a speedy recovery. But the fact that it has been less than 48 hours and we have seen 5 shootings in this country, and people are more focused on the fact that a podcaster died rather than the children, the students, all the people who have died. A podcaster is the most important one. It's really sad, in my opinion. It really is. And anyways, moving on into our other news segment, we have one topic. As the former Brazilian president has been convicted of trying to lead a coup, Brazil's Supreme Court judges have voted to convict the country's former president, Jair Bolsonaro. I think that's how you say that. Someone tried to correct me, and I got it wrong earlier, so hopefully that's correct. Of plotting a military coup. The Brazilian court ruled that Bolsonaro was guilty of seeking to forcibly cling to power after losing the 2022 election. The 70-year-old politician now faces 43 years in prison. If only the U.S. Supreme Court works like that, we'd be in a whole lot of a different situation right now than we currently are. But hey, good for Brazil, good for them. They're lucky. I wish I was there. Not really. I don't wish I lived in Brazil, but I wish we had a Supreme Court who wasn't as corrupt, if you will. I'm glad that their country is able to combat and prevent things like this from continuing, like any country who is, relatively competent should be able to. But hey, round of applause for Brazil. Truly, congratulations. Anyways, though, that is the final topic for today. With that being said, I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. If you're new here, please subscribe. As mentioned, we are on our way to 500 subscribers, and I would really appreciate all the support. It would mean the world to me. So if you're new here, please subscribe. That would be so goated. If you're on Substack, please also consider subscribing. All funds go to me. They help me pay for the things that I need to pay for in college, like food, like clothing, all those kinds of things. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. It means the world to me that so many of you continue to watch my videos day after day. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.